Are we live?
Well, now we are.
We're live.
We are live now.
Guys, welcome to this absolutely
Nonsense.
crazy game that we've had today against United. It's the call-in show. We're probably going to go straight into this, Danny.
Yeah, let's do
because
it.
I can imagine everyone's so delighted with today's performance. I can't wait to hear people's eccentric, exciting review of what they saw today. We're starting with the one and only Brandon. Thank you as well, my friend, for joining us in the chats throughout the game.
Hello, Brandon. Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah. How's it going?
We can't hear him.
How we doing?
Can you hear him?
I cannot hear you.
No.
Yeah?
Let's just make sure all plugs are in.
Yeah.
We're having a bit of a Spursy moment here, sorry.
No, we can't hear.
One moment, please, Brandon. It's good to see a nice, tidy kitchen behind you. Very clean microwave. Very good.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Beautiful.
Apologies for this, guys. If it's not depressing enough that we can't hear you, I've still got these stupid Spurs highlights in the corner of my eye on this TV screen. So I was going to do this for a bit, and I can't see it. Trying to sort out the technicalities here.
What's going on?
I think someone in the back,
Definitely
someone in
not
the back room
responsible
got their
for
mic
this
on.
mishap today in the in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely plugged in.
Can you hear us, Brandon? Oh, cool. Okay. Interesting. Anyone good at lip reading? Oh, here we go. You're in. What was that? Don't move, anyone. Don't move.
Can you hear him?
Don't move.
Yeah,
We can hear Brandon. We can hear
Hey!
Hey!
We're here.
There
My
we go.
friend.
Sorted it. How
My
you doing,
friend,
Brandon?
how you doing?
Brandon, you
You know
must have loved that game today, right? You must have absolutely been buzzing.
I went in today wanting a nice hearty bowl of pasta. You know, something we can all enjoy. Tastes fantastic, whatever. We got some zucchini noodles. It tastes much worse. But they're healthy for you. You need it every once in a while. You need something like this to come into your life and come into Daniel Levy's house and say, hey, open up. Boom, boom. January's coming up. Come on. This was a disgrace. In no unfair terms, this was a disgrace. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
So other than feeding the players some pasta and noodles, what on earth went on today, Brandon? Like, why did these players not turn up to such a game like this? What was going on?
I think there's something going on the back end, but I think someone in the waiting room might be on. But sorry, yeah. Would you say?
I was just saying, my friend, like, why did the Spurs players not turn up today? Like, who in your opinion is to blame today? Is it a mixture of manager and players? I can't really pick out an individual player to blame here at all.
I think it's the whole apparatus.
Yeah.
The whole apparatus. I think a lot of people have been screaming for this for quite some time, but it's not just one element going on here, right? And for the first time in his reign, I think that Conte might be a part of the problem, at least for today's performance. And we've always seen this reluctance to use his subs. And I get it. We weren't at it from the get-go. We don't have the greatest bench in the world. We don't have the type of quality that he wants off the bench. But we saw in the last 10 minutes, whether it was fatigue from United or the more likely reason that you have some players who are at least going to give it a go.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just playing football for the sole sake of, trying to mitigate a loss. You're playing for the fans. You're playing for the club. You know, it's the type of thing that I just cannot fathom. No part of my brain thinks it's in the realm of logic to wait for the 81st minute to make a single sub when you have 80 minutes of football being played like that.
Yeah.
Yves Bissouma, oh my. I mean, I can't say that I've seen a great performance from him in a Spurs shirt yet. One or two good-ish performances. But that was shocking. That was
he was terrible as well today.
Yeah, it cast my
I
mind
mean-
back to the West Ham game. Do you remember he came on, or he was playing?
He
I can't remember
started,
who
it was his first start,
And
yeah.
it was terrible. But then, like last week's game or the weekend game, he came on and was really bright and changed things. We need to start seeing some consistency from him. But it's not just him, is it, Brandon? It's
No,
the
of
whole
course
team
not.
today.
If we're gonna play midfield 3, then I think we found out that Basuma can't be in that 3.
Do you think,
No.
Brandon, then it's the communication? Because what I saw today is that they bumped into each other. They didn't know where they were. None of them were pressing. Do you think it's the communication that's the problem between the three, that they're still not aware of how to play together? He's so pissed off. He just completely just cut off.
He's just frozen on us. He's frozen.
I know.
Oh, Brandon.
Oh, we'll try and get you back in,
Yeah.
Brandon.
What a hero. That's some good valid points there as well. I mean, you can't just pinpoint one player, but you know when you finally get that formation change and a switch around,
Yeah.
it's obviously going to be one of the players that gets picked out of that. But they're all terrible.
Yeah.
They're all terrible. I don't know if we've got someone else to come on.
Yeah, we'll get Brandon
right
back
now.
on. Brandon,
We've got AV here.
if you want to come back on after Brandon, come back on and we'll get you on.
No, another frozen screen. Who we got next?
Who is next?
See, it's not just Amazon Prime that has lagging and problems. It's also everyone else around the world. Maybe it's just the wind outside. I'm not sure.
Right, so we'll get our next guest on. Michael, how are you doing, Michael? You might be on mute, my friend. Oh, hold on. There we
There
go.
we
No, yeah, it's all
Can you hear
good.
me?
How are you, Michael? So did you enjoy that fantastic performance today, mate?
You know, boys, I've spent 8 hours on uni today thinking about this game, thinking about how I'm gonna just, knock myself on the, on the fucking desk. It's just, the problem is that when I get pissed, I usually forget how to speak English, and I really want to turn to fucking Polish right now, but I can't because you won't understand me and nobody will understand me. But yeah, like. Absolutely fucking dog shit. Like seriously,
Yeah.
what I just witnessed. Honestly, it is the worst performance under Antonio Conte that I've
Spot
seen.
on.
Literally the worst.
Yeah.
I think the 2-0 against Wolves was better. 3-2 against Southampton was better. All those games were better. This was as bad as Chelsea away this season, in my opinion.
I think it's worse.
In terms of like how shit we were, basically. It's not even about being like a bit sloppy or whatever, right? We were just fucking dog shit. We couldn't like pass the ball more than 3 times in a row, that we fucking immediately lost it, right? I can go over each player if you want and tell you why I think they played shit, except Son and Kane, because in my opinion they did what they could with what they got. Like I personally think that the way we were set up with 5-3-2 and how deep our midfield was, how defensive it's not even maybe how we set up, it's how defensive United made us to be. Like they were so energetic, so press heavy, they were so active that we basically had to like drop deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And suddenly when you find yourself on like the 16th meter or 11 meter, like defending for your life, and you somehow knock the ball to your forwards, they were 2 against like 4-6 players on them. They couldn't do much with what they got, basically, because there was no one to support them in those attacks. And like I have no problems with how Son and Kane played, because like they did what they could, right? But the rest of the players, my fucking god, nobody played well today. Nobody played well except Lloris. I've criticized you plenty of times. I have my problems with Lloris being our captain, or him having a stinker once in a while, right? But he was magnificent today. He was like the best Hugo that we know, right? He was saving some fucking match shots, right? He was brilliant today. And we still fucking lost 2-0. Like
says a lot, Michael, doesn't it? Because if he wasn't that good, we could have lost 4 or 5-0 today.
Massively.
Yeah, it would have been shocking. Like you can even see my cat licking his balls behind me. So that's the level that this game was at, right?
At least the
Like
cat's got some, unlike the players today.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Spot on,
Like
side.
absolutely like ridiculous how bad we were. And like the players that I want to point out are Bisuma. I think that he was absolutely dog shit today. I've watched
Yeah.
like your watch along and David Harris's watch along on the Irish Hotspur, and somebody mentioned that he is just Ndombele in disguise. And I said, like, maybe let's not go that far, but he wasn't better than Ndombele
Michael,
in
I
some
said
of
to
his
Sai
games
in the
today.
game.
Literally,
Michael, I said to Sai in the game. Today he reminded me of Ndombele. He was lazy. He didn't. He was walking around the pitch. He wasn't running for. With the Basuma I saw at Brighton, he was like an engine. He didn't stop running.
Yep.
Right. Today I saw the complete opposite. He just was not running at
Yeah.
all. He was just lazy, and he wasn't pressing at all. Like, if anyone's going to press, you'd expect him to do it.
Yeah.
Like, at least.
Yep.
Him or Højbjerg, but none
He's
of
had
them
the
are
most
pressing
rest
today.
out of the players
Yeah.
this season, so why not?
Something's not right, man. Something's not right with him at the moment.
Michael, what do you think of the substitutions on 81 minutes? Do you think that's acceptable? Do you think it should be done earlier? I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I was really shocked.
I think it's shambolic that we planned this game the way we did. I think because I've only spoke about like some of the players' performances because I didn't even get to Dyer and Davies, and frankly speaking, Romero wasn't good today too, and our wing backs were shit. So yeah, basically, as I said, the 8 of 11 players on the pitch were absolutely fucking diabolical today. Absolutely like shit.
Who was the worst one for you today?
Worst one, probably. It's hard to fucking choose. Like if I were like scoring them out of 10, like half of them would get a 1 in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was
right.
this performance was so bad because like I was talking with my friends right on the group chat, and I said I won't mind if we lose today. It's Old Trafford, we don't travel well there, right? We usually don't win there. But did we like hop into a fucking time machine and turn back to 2004 or whatever, right? When we were fighting fucking relegation and United was winning titles, right? Because that's how this game looked, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we looked defeated. We looked like from the second minutes, as soon as we lost the ball first time and they put a lot of pressure on us, we looked defeated. And not only our players look defeated, also our coaching staff look defeated. Because, like, how can you concede so fast in the second half? It's the same thing happened against Arsenal, right? Like the performance against Arsenal was bad in the first half, but we got the draw at the halftime, and we should when you come out of to start the second half, you have to be switched on immediately. You cannot concede in the second minute of the second half. And it all goes to shit when you do that, right? But we did, of course we did, because that's Old Trafford away, right? They had to fuck something up. So yeah, it's Old Trafford away. We fucked up, but we have to somehow react, right? And like we as fans could see how hard it was for us to transition from the defensive line and midfield, which was pretty much our defensive line, to the forwards, right? So you have to change something. And I've been vocal like on this channel, on other channels. I said plenty of times I prefer us playing in a 3-4-3, but of course we didn't have personnel for that today. I understand that. Like Kulusevski's injured, Richarlison is injured. Conte didn't want to start Lucas and Hill, right? Because like obviously I think that on paper before the game Bissouma looks better than Lucas and Hill, right? But this formation is good only when we have the lead already and we need to stabilize in the midfield, like we did against Leicester, like we did against Everton, and I think we used it like once more, if my mind doesn't like play tricks on me. But from the get-go, those three players, Bentancur, Højbjerg, and Bissouma, they are too defensive, all three of them. One of them has to play forwards. And I understand that we saw that against Everton, that they were playing forwards, right? But let's look at the difference in the level of opposition, right?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
Bentancur and Højbjerg can make those like darting runs and support the attack when they are playing against Everton's midfield. Today they played against fast, technical, lively players,
Yep.
and that's where we struggled, right?
Yep.
And that's where our defense always struggles with like pacey forwards, technical players, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do you think,
it's
Michael, it was a lot of the reason, the thing I didn't see today was that Man United's counter press was phenomenal, right?
yeah, they
Every
were
time,
phenomenal today.
every time we got the ball, they were literally on us like fire, like it was crazy. And every time they had the ball, we just sat off them and gave them so much respect, as if they
Yeah,
were
like
Man United and we were like a League Two team that were like trying to stay in the game. We gave them too much respect. Do you not think that's the case, or do you think it was something else that was part of the reason why we lost today?
it's just like I don't want to use the word Spursy, but like it's just a bunch of pussies on the field, right? Like sorry for
That's what I
sorry for
said.
all the swearing, but yeah,
That's what
but
I said.
like how else can you describe that?
Yeah.
Like they were scared. You could
Yeah.
see that
You can see it. Yeah.
because of how much pressure was on them, they were scared. And I don't
Yes.
think that Højbjerg and Bentancur, I know they weren't good today, right? But I don't think they were as bad. It's just that they had to be so deep because our defense was shitting themselves. Dyer, Davies, Perisic, Doherty, they were all bad. They were
Yeah.
getting constantly skinned. Like there was one situation when he tripled up Anthony and he somehow got away from our players and managed to cross the ball. Like for fuck's sake, if you triple up on the player, he cannot move an inch. And it was like I think it was Perisic. Anthony plays on Perisic's side. Yeah, it was Perisic and Davies double lapping on Anthony, and they couldn't manage. So like Bentancur or Højbjerg have to help him out, and he still fucking managed to get away from them. Right? It's pathetic. It's just like as I said, I don't mind if we lose against United. I mind the performance. That performance was embarrassing.
Exactly.
Like after this performance, I feel embarrassed as a Spurs fan. Spurs fan, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I
Yeah.
said, I forget how to speak English and when I'm pissed. But yeah, like it's. I honestly expected more today. I know United are a quality side, but somewhere deep inside me, I expected to at least like nick a draw or something. Like
Yeah.
make like show me that you can nick a result, like you did against Chelsea. Even though Chelsea battered us the same way, by the way. Like they were United did today what Chelsea did to us back like in August. As soon as our midfield got the ball, it was immediately like two people on Højbjerg, two people on
Yeah.
Bentancur. Like energetic pressing to nick the ball off us. And the 3-4-3 system works well if you have the time to set up. When you can defend against like a well constructed attack, right? But if you have like a quick turnover where you lose the ball and suddenly your defensive players get caught, like what is it,
Yeah.
hot-handed, cold-handed, or whatever, right? Sorry, I don't know the
Yeah.
No,
I
no.
don't know
Yeah,
the
it's fine.
English thing for it. But yeah, if you get caught on the transition, then they could just crumble. Like if we had better players in defense, maybe they could like save this, right? If you had, I don't know, fucking Bremer and Bastoni in defense alongside Romero, then I wouldn't like it wouldn't be so bad. But we have Dyer and Davies. They are slow. They are like sorry, they were our backup 7 years ago.
Yeah. That's what
Like
I was saying.
what are they doing in
Yeah.
our club? Like sorry, but
Michael,
I,
I wanna ask
I'm
you
pissed.
something. I want to ask you a question quickly. Um,
Yeah, sure.
why is it then last season under Conte, when we played the big teams, we seemed to play some of our better football, right? So we're looking at Man City away, Anfield. We seemed to play better football. Why is it that this season, against the biggest teams we played as Arsenal and Man United, we played probably, and Chelsea, we played our worst football? What do you think that could be?
Uh, I'm honestly like I think that mentality of the players plays a key role.
Yeah.
Like we were on the high, right? Before we played. I mean, okay, we lost the game before playing Liverpool and City, both those occasions, right? But overall, when you look at that part of the season, we were slapping teams left, right, and center, right? We were
Yeah.
winning like 4-0, 5-0, 5-1,
Yeah.
whatever. We were well organized, and those players had like an immediate target in front of them, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like they knew that they have to perform if they want to get top four. They wanted to perform for Conte, and they knew it's only like 5 games left, 4 games left, 3 games left, right? The end of the season was coming soon and rapidly, and they had to perform. Whereas this performance, in my opinion, was like a throwaway performance,
Yeah.
because like it's only 11 games into the season. We can make this up later, right? Like, shame, we lost, they outplayed us today, we don't need to fight for it. That's how I felt watching them today. And honestly, I know it's only one player, but I miss Kulusevski. Deki, come back, for fuck's sake. I don't want to see
Yeah.
this team playing without you.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
I never expected a kid that is 3 years younger than me to be so pivotal to that team.
Yeah.
He is so good. He's so important, in my opinion. Like, look at last match that we played at Old Trafford, the 3-2 that we lost, unfortunately, right? But look what he did with their left back, and he like he sorry, like he was so good in that game. He was so good in so many games, and I think that he just facilitates our attack, because today our attack was non-existent because there was nobody to support our 2 stars.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Kane and Son did brilliantly in holding up the ball. They were like getting the ball thrown on him and 2 defenders on their back,
Yeah.
and a defensive midfielder in front of them, and they still somehow managed to pass the ball to one of the midfielders. The problem is they were fucking 50 meters off the goal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what were they supposed to do then? Like, they
Yeah.
passed to
No
the wing,
support.
and United was set up already. Like,
Yeah.
there was no support. So
Yeah.
I think that Deki is so important in
Massive.
Yeah, I
in
agree.
our system. I just so Stel pointing at me like this. I don't know if he's agreeing with me or disagreeing, but yeah. But sorry, boys, I went on a ramble, as I
No, that's
always do.
okay.
But
Have you got
I just had to vent.
Have you got any final thoughts then, Michael, before we get the next guest on?
Yeah, like, bring on the next game. I'm not scared of Newcastle, but they are playing really well, and I fear that this game will be a tough watch again. And I'm not the one like saying that our like style of football is trash or whatever. I actually enjoy counter-attacking play style. It's just that we are bad at it this season. We aren't like counter-attacking well. Most of our goals are from set pieces, or from like crosses. Ironically, because we always say that our players cannot cross, but somehow we've got many goals from set pieces and crosses, right?
Yeah.
But this team just lacks flair, in my opinion, and that's why Kulusevski is so pivotal for me. That's why he's so important for this system, because he brings that he's unpredictable for opposition, right?
Yeah, I
Because
completely
like
agree.
this game, I could clearly see United. They knew how we will play. They knew that we are going to pass the ball from the defense to the midfield. Then it will be a long ball to our forwards. They will try to hold it up. Then the midfield comes into the field, right? Joins the attack, and they knew exactly what to do. They doubled up Son and Kane as soon as they got the ball, and we couldn't create much, right? That's why you need Kulusevski. That's why you need a person to be like to have imagination on the pitch, right? To be creative. And honestly, like when Spence came on, I know that he only had like 4 minutes again or whatever, but at least I could see him running like into the player, like
Yeah.
trying to dribble past the player, right? Whereas from Doherty and Perisic, I didn't see that. And by the way, Perisic, another like bad performance in my opinion. I know that
Yeah,
he got
I
a couple
agree.
of crosses, but nothing happened of them, right? It's another bad performance. He's bad defensively, and like when he was providing in the attack, like at the beginning of the season, he got like 2 or 3 assists. Okay, I get that he's an attacking player. He is there to provide assists, but he also has to defend. And if he doesn't provide forwards and he is bad defensively, then why is he on the pitch? I would prefer Ryan Sessegnon there. And Ryan Sessegnon is also a bad player. So it's just like choosing between like
which one's
again,
worse?
I don't know. Yeah, which one is worse? Like yeah.
Well, Michael, thank you. Yeah, brilliant call, man. Thank you very much for calling in today. It was good to get your thoughts. I think fans are going to have similar thoughts today. I think the only thing we can...
everyone will probably, right?
Yeah, I think the only thing we can do now is literally try and forget this and move on to the next game, really.
Yeah, exactly. We move on. Bring on Newcastle, I guess.
Yeah, we have to. It's
Michael,
the only choice we've got.
Big up, my man. Yeah. Thank you for calling, man. And nice to see you again. And I hope to see you soon.
Thanks,
Cheers,
buddy.
Michael.
Don't know in the chat was saying bring back Christian Ziga. He was one of my favourite players at Tottenham back in the day. I absolutely loved his wing back play. A fine example of that. We just don't have that in this day and age at Tottenham at the moment.
We don't.
Hassan, I think, is ready to come on now. Welcome, my friend.
How are you, Hassan? Did you enjoy that amazing performance tonight?
Yeah, blown away by the attacking prowess of our team.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Did you like the substitutions we brought on? The really attacking talent we had on the bench.
Yeah, of course. Surprised Brian Hill didn't get a few minutes as well. I've got to see him show off his stuff as well. But look, going into the game, I wasn't confident. We always have a pretty poor record at Old Trafford, and we lost last season as well. But losses don't faze me too much. Yeah. If the performance is worthwhile, if we had a few chances, De Gea saved them, we got a goal, but they were just better than us. Fair play, it is what it is. But the moment we stepped out on the pitch, I think first 5 minutes we tried, and after it wasn't successful, we sort of said, "Okay, that's it. Our plan didn't work. Let's just see if we can muster something in game." And yeah, United deservedly won that game. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. I was looking at XG. I think our XG was like 0.57 and there was like 1.79. So they clearly had the better opportunities and better chances. So they deserve to win. I have no regrets about that. It was just so lackluster.
Yeah.
And it's concerning now because Chelsea away, we scraped a draw. West Ham away, again, draw, wasn't pretty performance. Arsenal away, we lost, and now United away, we've lost as well. So
Azan, quick question then, because there's been a lot of talk, not just this week, but for many weeks now, about formations. I get so bored of these conversations because I don't think, whichever formation we play, we just don't seem to provide that kind of performance to warrant like the formations that we select. So today we went with a different one. It hasn't worked, and I'm really surprised, Azam, because like we had 5 midfielders, and United outrun us everywhere. Now, is that because we were showcasing too many defensive players and we're bringing that on? Or did we supposedly, on paper, if you like, before the game, because I felt a bit confident when I saw that formation and the structure, did we let ourselves into that situation? Or should the players should be playing a lot better than they did, right? This was unacceptable, in my opinion. This is unacceptable with this kind of setup.
Yeah, but when I saw the 3-5-2, I thought, yes, right? We matched their 3 midfield. We wouldn't get as overrun as if he had done a 3-4-3, and I thought, okay, game on, right? I was a bit more satisfied, but they just passed our midfield so easily, and I was really surprised. I can't lie. I really wanted Basuma to do well, man. I really wanted him to just show, look at me, and he just didn't. He didn't do anything great. He didn't do anything catastrophic, but you want more input from a player of his caliber. And part of me is thinking, is being a defensive midfielder his prime position, right? Because at Brighton, he was progressing the ball up the pitch, being involved with that transition. Is that his best position? Would Højbjerg be better as a defensive midfielder and let Basuma be a bit more free on the left center mid role? I don't know. I'm not the manager. I don't see that stuff, but it just seemed like we had 2 men in midfield. Like Basuma didn't really do much. So
You make a really good point, actually, Hassan. It's quite funny because at the beginning of the game, we were talking about the players interchanging, and it was actually really cool to see this finally, that we were making moves. But actually, maybe it was the worst thing that we were doing, because actually it got to a point in the game, probably after those first 5 minutes you mentioned, that everyone just confused as to where they were supposed to be, what they're doing. Are you supposed to be pressing, or am I? I don't know what's going on. Like, that's just what it was like, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just when you recruit or when you scout in the summer, you want to find players who will go right into your system, right? Look for players who play in that back three formation, 3-4-3, 3-5-2, whatever it is, and you say, okay, that midfielder can play in a 3-5-2 and a 3-4-3. Let's get him. Basuma, for the role he's playing now, does not play that way.
Yeah.
Right? So we're trying to mold him into this player that he's not. Right? You can say the same with Richarlison. He doesn't play on the right wing. Right? That's not his. That's not where he plays at Everton or for Brazil. And yet we're forcing him to play on that role. And you're seeing how awful he is on that side. Right? Only player who's really go on.
No, it's just interesting what you were just saying. Sorry to interrupt you. Do you think then that's Conte's stubbornness to try and get the players that we've got to try and work in his system rather than players that actually system players?
I mean, who knows what went behind closed doors in the summer, whether he asked for someone who can play that role and they were like, yo, Basuma's good, he's cheap, let's get him in. No one's going to know. Look, did Conte make substitutions a bit late? Sure he did.
Yeah.
But can we really blame him? Right? He's got Lucas Moura and Brian Hill on the bench.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
You compare this.
Very true.
You compare his 3-5-2 today to his 3-5-2 at Inter.
Yeah.
Right? He had a back three of Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, a midfield of Barella, Brozovic, Eriksen. Right? The front two, sure. Martinez, Lukaku, Son Kane, sure, that's fine. But Barella, Brozovic, Eriksen, and in the back three of De Vrij, Skriniar, and Bastoni.
Yeah, levels.
I mean, what do you expect from? He's trying the best with what he can do, and it's just not working. My only concern is that last season we had pretty much similar players, right? Because he's not really using your Jed Spencers and your stuff like that. He's not really using those players.
Yeah.
So I feel personally that something's we worsened in a sense on our counters. I just feel like it's not clicking as well. And maybe that's Kulusevski being injured. Maybe he was the missing link, and maybe when he comes back, it'll look better. But against Brighton last year when we went away, we won 2-0 and it was pretty comfortable. But then this year, it wasn't as comfortable. So that's my only concern, right? I'm not going to blame Conte because he doesn't have the players that he needs. But something just feels like we're going backwards instead of forwards. And that's my only concern. And we scored 2 goals against United last year. And, I mean, sure, they had Ragnick, but it's just...
So is it really then, Hassan, the quality of the players then really what it comes down to? Because I was saying this to Hassan, I've been saying this for a long time, because last season what I saw is Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, these type of players, they were playing above the level that they've been playing at for years, right? For years. They had been playing poor for years, right? And then Conte comes in and gets a tune out of them. But he gets a tune out of them to the extent where they're playing a lot higher at a higher level than they've played for a long time, right? He's getting the most out of them. But because they're just not that good, they can't sustain that level because that's just the quality of the player. So does it then come down to the quality of the player at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think 100% bang on. I mean, you saw today how just bad those two are. I mean, there was a reason they weren't like, whenever people come up to me and say, Dyer and Davies are good, I say 4 or 5 years ago they weren't playing.
Exactly.
Right? So now how come, if we're meant to be progressing as a team, as a club, those backups now become starters?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure, if they were like 20, 22 and they've improved, sure, but they're like 28 and 29.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to get much better than this. And like, I mean, you saw the first goal we conceded, right? I think it was Son won the ball, and then instead of moving forward, we passed all the way back towards our goal.
I remember.
A sloppy pass from Ben Davies, and then sure, unlucky deflection, but Why is that what we're doing? Why are we trying to
I know.
again go? He's won the ball.
It's
Move
every game.
forward.
Yeah.
Every game.
Get men forward. Why are we passing back? And it's I don't know why he chose Davies over Longley. Look, I don't think Longley's miles clear of Davies, but I think
Yeah.
Longley has a certain composure that
Yeah.
Davies lacks. And
Yeah.
in a team, in a
Yeah.
game where you're getting pressed, it would be nice to have Longley, right? And Davies played
Yeah.
last game, so I think maybe that's one criticism I'd have of Conte. But
Yeah.
you can't get far with the back three of Dyer and Davies, and I feel so bad for Romero, man. I
So
feel
do I.
so bad for him. I mean,
I think they're dragging
he's
Romero
running
into
in.
it as
Yeah.
He is. I mean, he's running in, tackling. He's good on the ball. He's passing to the forwards, and then you have those two next to him,
Yeah.
and it's
Do
just
you know
like
what we said,
you must
Hassan?
look at them.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, go on. Go on.
No, sorry, you go. I was pretty much.
I was just going to
finished
say, you just mentioned about Romero, about how he was, and Sai was saying how he's getting the other two are dragging him down. It was funny because during the game we saw Romero was one of the only people trying to press the players, and he was running into
Yeah.
midfield. He was trying to press
Yeah.
them. We're he was the only one trying. None of the midfielders were, and he's coming out of defence. And we're what's he doing up there? And we know he likes to get forward and stuff and get up the pitch, but he was the only one trying to press, and even he
no one
didn't
else
have.
was.
Yeah, he just got the other two get
Yeah,
exposed because he's not there.
I think he just got bored.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
genuinely
that's
think he
what,
just
that's
got
what
bored.
you
He's
said,
like,
Si.
Yeah.
he's like, we're not
Honestly,
doing
he
anything,
is.
so I'll take into my own hands.
But he's
I mean,
doing that a lot recently, Azan, and he's making mistakes, and he's not tracking back properly because everyone else is messing about. And there was a point to add to your point about Basuma earlier, is that he's still young and energetic and learning in this system and this team, and especially under a manager like Conte. But he's got no excitement around him. It's exactly like last
disappointing
season
for
with
him.
some of those midfielders. I want to be encouraged and oh yeah, this is brilliant. But yeah, of course, he could up his own game and be I'm going to stand out of this crowd. But when you're a player that's driven by confidence, which I do think he is, and at this moment in time, because of how he's been brought in or something, I'm not sure, he's lacking that. He needs to look around him and go, well, where am I getting this from? And then we got a performance like this with all the other players. You can't expect anything from that. And I stand by it. For not just this game, Romero has been dropping in form, and it's because he's playing with shit players next to him.
Yeah. I think the same is for players like Bentancur. I genuinely think Bentancur is a really good player. I saw today when he was given that freedom, he was up and around the box, man. He was when he gets pressed, he's press resistant. But when he's next to look, Højbjerg has been our most consistent player this season, but he has also a limit, right?
Yeah.
When he's next to those players, Doherty on his right, he's defending Dyer and Davies.
Yeah.
Bentancur's also going to get pushed down, right? So there's a lot of holes that we didn't fix in that summer transfer window, and the paper of the cracks is starting to leak now. It's starting to open now, and you can see. I mean, people were calling for Emerson to be dropped. He got suspended. People calling for the 3-5-2 to come in instead of the 3-4-3. That's happened now. So it's where do we go next? I don't think Doherty did anything amazing. Sure, he's better than Emerson, but I'm sure a lot of us are better than Emerson. So it's not a big compliment, right? The 4 minutes I saw of Jed Spence running towards the player, I was like, yes.
Honestly,
I didn't see anything.
I agree, Hassan.
Spot on.
And now Emerson's going to come back, so Spence is not going to get any minutes anyway.
I want to see Spence play against Newcastle because I know Emerson I don't want to see ever again in the Spurs shirt.
Yep.
Doherty is not good enough. I'm sorry, he's not good enough.
He isn't.
He used to be at Wolves, but since he's joined Tottenham, I've seen maybe a stint towards the end of last year, but not really what we need. And I'm talking about a player of Spence's talent and quality coming in. That's just one problem. That's one situation in the team. But it's a valid point you make. And I think that Newcastle, this is an opportunity now for Conte to actually assess something here and go, yeah, I really like these players. They're really nice people and all that, but they're actually terrible. I need to start putting in players that, they might not be amazing. I don't think some of these players have been given a chance.
No.
And people will shoot down like Hill, and I know he's got some physicality to build upon. Jed Spence isn't given the chance. Well, hang on a minute, guys. The performances have not been great this season. There comes a time where you have to go, actually, I need to change something here. But we in 2 games, Hassan, 2 big games, Arsenal and this one today, we have changed 4 or 5 players in the last 5 or 10 minutes. What is that? What is that?
Look, it's such a fine balance because on one hand, For we know Spence is shocking in training and giving 15 minutes or so, he might show that he's bad. On the other hand, watching 90 minutes of Emerson, makes you want to kill yourself. Doherty isn't much better. I think the problem with Conte said it before that he wants his wingbacks. He prefers his wingbacks to be wingers who he's changed back into defensive players, right? Because wingers can take the man on. He has a little bit of flair, dribbling, can cross the ball in. Not once did I see Doherty beat a man. Not once did I see him do any sort of step overs or dribbles. And not once did I see him putting a cross. So it's like arriving late into the box is only one attribute of a wingback, and that's all I see him and Sessegnon do. Both Sess and Doherty just arrive late into the box, right? Sess at least tries his crosses, but they aren't good either. So for me, I wanted Perisic and Spence from the start. Look, I don't think Spence is a bad player, and I'm sure Conte doesn't think that either. It's just that he wasn't a player that Conte specifically wanted. But I think he has to swallow a bit of his pride, a little bit, because again, I'm not going to blame Conte for what's happening, but just be like, you know what? Let me try Spence. Let me try. If he has a shocking game, I can say, you know what? Look, I said he wasn't ready, and he wasn't ready, right? So listen to me. But if he comes on and he plays well, then it's like, I don't have to play Emerson anymore. I can play Doherty and Spence and rotate those two. So it's a win-win for Conte in that sense, right? Sure, it might damage Spence's confidence a little bit, but the guy hasn't been playing for like 3 months, so his confidence is already probably pretty low. So there's literally a win. There's no loss for Conte in that situation if he decides to play Spence. So, yeah, man, it's a sad way to start end the day, but
Any last thoughts, Hassan? Any last thoughts, my man?
The Newcastle game, I think people shouldn't underestimate that game. I think we'll edge it because it's at home, and I think the fans will give us a little bit of thing, but I don't think it'll be pretty. It'll be similar to the way we play against United because Newcastle try to play that way as well, press high, nice football. I beg somehow Kulusevski gets back. I beg somehow he comes back in. I want to see Longley go back into that back three.
Yep.
If Emerson starts, Emerson starts that game, I'm not watching it. Like,
I'm
hand on
turning the
heart,
car around.
I'm not watching the game. I'm not watching the game. Like, I don't care if we batter them 10, 11-0. I'm not watching that game because I can not see that man play a right wing back. Yeah. So I hope he either persists with Doherty or Spence, but I think we just got to move on and accept that this is the life that we'll be living until Conte gets better players, or if he gets better players in January.
All right, Hassan.
All right, Hassan.
Quality.
Yeah, really great call, man. Thank you very much for calling tonight. And
No
good
worries.
to see you again, bro. And we'll see you soon. Take it easy, man.
Thanks, brother.
Come on, Spurs.
Quick super chat here from Sava, Talks Football. Danny, we know what the players can or can't do, but the players are much better than what he is serving up. It's anti-football. Fans hated Jose and defend Conte with a much better squad.
What do you think to that? I mean, for me, yes, to an extent, but it's like I said earlier, I think Conte somehow got a tune out of these players last year, right? And the only reason we got top four was because of Kulusevski and Bentancur, in my opinion. Without them, we wouldn't have got top four at all.
Yeah.
And I think that Dyer, Davis, these type players, they've been playing shit for years, right? Shit for years. And he got a tune out of them to get top four, but they were playing way above their level that they've been playing at. And do we expect them to continue playing at that level? I don't, because they're shit. I've wanted them out for years.
That's a really good point, actually. We got Barry in the background coming in, but do you know what? What's really interesting, some of the guys have said, like Michael in particular was saying, like last year we were fighting for something. We were actually like in the window of the opportunity for top four. Right now at the beginning of the season, this is what defines proper players, like winning players. Yeah. Mentality is not there because we're just rolling along, hoping.
But where does that come from? It comes from above.
But it also probably comes from players that have been there too long as well.
Yeah, it does. But if the club set out and say, this is our target, we want to win a trophy, we want to win, we want to try and compete for the title. But all I hear from the board at the beginning of the season, Paratici and them saying, we want to be competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
That's not a target.
And Conte needs his players in. You know,
Yeah.
this is too average. Barry, let's get Barry in.
Come on, Barry. Come on, Bazza. Happy birthday, my son.
Thank you, boys. Thank you.
Sorry,
Before we come to me,
Yeah.
someone wants to say something.
They always let us down. Bottle job every time.
Concentrate on the road, Steph.
Yeah, concentrate, Estelle. Fuck you know, mate.
Barry, who else is in the car with you?
Yeah, who else is in the car, Barry?
We got Iggy and Graham in the back.
Nice,
Bottle jobs
nice.
in the back. Bottle jobs in the front. Bottle jobs everywhere, mate. Bottle job FC.
Bottle Job FC.
Yeah,
Danny, how many times have you sworn tonight?
Oh, mate, I don't give a fucking shit, mate.
Barry.
Sorry they gave you a shit birthday present.
Yeah, that's
Honestly, it was disgraceful.
Barry, I'm going to start you up with a question, which is actually a super chat from one of the guys in the live chat. Conte is underestimating the weak mentality of our veteran players. What do you think about that?
No. Stell, you saying no as well?
Guys, today was nothing to do about tactics. It was nothing to do about formation. It had nothing to do with substitutions. Today was 100%. Every man except Lloris was rubbish.
Yep.
It was a poor performance from individuals.
Yep.
And for me, Danny, you hit the nail on the head. Until we have proper quality players at this club, and until this board properly invests in what Conte needs, this will happen in most big games this season.
Yep,
I
agree.
still think he'll get us top four. Somehow.
Yeah, look, it's good, boys. It was embarrassing. Tonight. Everyone apart from Hugo was, Hugo kept it from being 5 or 6-0. We should have probably gone in at half time 3 or 4-0 down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
just there was no press. There was nothing. And I was listening to what you're saying about Romero, about getting dragged into it. Romero has been, to coin a phrase from Mr. Box Office, he's been bang average, bruv. He was awful tonight.
Yeah.
Romero was absolutely awful.
Well, I mean,
tonight.
if Romero was awful, what was Eric Dyer and Ben Davis? Because they were worse.
Eric Dyer won all his aerial battles, though.
Yeah.
Eric Dyer cost the goal and then started blaming Højbjerg for it.
Mate, they were
They're all to blame.
Let's not go crazy because we're fresh out of the game and we're on our way home and we've got God knows how long in the car to digest it. But look, they were all poor, all of them, everyone on the pitch, bar Hugo. They were awful, and that's all there is to say. We went there. The fans were great. The fans were doing their best, but. Yeah, what can I say?
Guys, Man United tonight, the way they pressed us,
yes,
and the way they were on our first touch, our second touch, they wanted that game so much more.
Yeah,
and when they got the ball, they quickly looked to move it forward, and they kept possession, and they moved the ball at a quick pace. We had no answer to it. I don't care what anyone tells me, right? I watched that game live in the flesh. The technical players they've got, we cannot compete.
No.
Casemiro, Eriksen, Sancho, Anthony, who's the other? Martinez. They're technically better.
Yeah.
We don't have enough players like that. We've got a few.
100%.
We just don't have enough.
100%. Completely agree, Stout. Completely.
And that was it. And also, what we cry, Jed Spence got 4 minutes. We didn't learn anything in those 4 minutes. So, look, I know. We all know Emerson is starting against Newcastle.
Barry, I learned.
Yes.
I saw Emerson attack and got into the box. Maybe more. The only directness I saw in the whole game from Spurs was when he got into the box and he had no one to support him when he tried to pass back a ball.
Spence was more direct, but there was still no end product.
There was still no end product.
It's a few minutes, so you can't judge a player on 2 minutes.
Yeah, we can't judge a player on 3 minutes. It was the first chance he had.
Exactly, but you can't. But we all know that Emerson's going to be playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's
going to happen,
the funniest
mate.
thing.
It's going to happen for sure.
So is it also Conte's fault for picking the players then?
Or is there no choice?
Or is it no choice? Yeah. What is it? Because
Who, guys, Danny.
Yeah.
Danny. who would you have started tonight that would have changed that performance?
Yeah.
Because we would have needed 4, 5, 6 different players
Yeah.
to have changed that performance. Who would you have started?
I would have thrown in the towel, mate.
Yeah.
They could have.
I would have looked at Eric Dyer and Ben Davies and feel like, nah.
Well, you guys were in the stadium, right? We're all getting frustrated. Everyone in the comments was as well. Like, I saw it instantly in the second half. Like, the first 5 minutes, it was an indication that this is going to get worse. It's going to get worse in this second half. It's not improving. There's no stability. Why on earth did we wait till the 81st minute to make any changes? I know there's probably, like, not amazing answers on our bench, but you should at least have some kind of answer or some kind of philosophy to change something, surely. What do you guys think about that?
But it's going back to again what we did before when Conte turns to the bench. He had Winks on the bench last season. Sessegnon, Hill, Lucas Moura, Sanchez. He brought Sanchez on.
They're all shit.
But you have to. I know they're probably not like the exact answer we want. We know we need better players, but is there not a situation where you go, this team is struggling today? It's struggling worse than it was in the first half. Do you not need to just try something, do something different? Like give players some minutes. Like
Simon,
just give Spence minutes, whatever.
So Simon, other than Spence, what could we possibly do different? Honestly, you look at that bench.
I don't know, Stel. I'm asking you the question.
Well, I'm telling you, there isn't an answer.
There isn't an answer. We're like Danny. We're going to throw the towel in. We're going to throw the towel in. Look,
All right,
I get it. What could we have done? Honestly, I absolutely. I don't think we could have done anything. There wasn't anything. I know we want to sit there and try it. Look, everyone was calling for 3-5-2. We played 3-5-2. We look worse than playing.
It was so bad.
3-4-3.
It was so bad.
And the thing is, it pains me to say it, we're missing Kulusevski massively, and that one player has made a massive. We look unbalanced. We don't look like we have a clue of what we want to do at all. It's just absolute. It was just. I mean, it was just horrible. It was just horrible tonight. And I feel sorry for all of us. We got like 4.5 hours.
It's
to get
long.
home.
Yeah, it's so long.
And look, it is what it is. But I think we just, we know what we need. And Sunday's going to be tough. Newcastle went to United. They got a draw. They won tonight. Their tails are going to be up.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Sunday.
One last one for you guys there then, on that point of Newcastle, right? Because what do we do? What do we do? Do we change anything up? Like, it obviously depends on if some players are back from injury or whatever, i.e. Kulusevski. But if he is or isn't, like, what do we do now after this game? Like, how do they look at themselves after this game? Right? And especially, I do add Conte into this as well. He needs to look at some things about the way things are going as well, right? What do we do for Sunday?
Still?
The first of all, when a team presses us, we can't play out of the back. We can't play out the back when we're pressed. So we've got to play the ball long and wide and split Son and Kane wide to receive it in the wide channels, and then the midfielders to drive down the middle. That's how you beat the press. The other thing I'd say is we've got to be much more intensive in our play. There's too many moments in the game where we were too slow to pass the ball or make a decision. The game needs to speed up. We've got to be quicker.
Yeah, guys. Well, hopefully we're going to get a better performance out of this on Sunday. I'm probably just going to turn up to the second half because that's only when things start happening. So I might turn up late for that one. But guys, it's been a pleasure to have you all on here. And safe journey, please. Hopefully you're travelling down the M6 by now and on your way home.
Danny.
Yeah.
Danny.
He's here.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah.
Fuck off, mate.
I was just about to say that. Fuck off, mate. Go on, piss
we're all
off.
friends here. We're all friends here. Safe journey, guys.
See you later, guys. Big up to you guys.
Yeah, some people in the chat still going on about this, formation situation. It's just going to go backwards and forwards. My favourite one, Cello Vera, 352 merchants exposed like clowns.
All right, we've got 5 more guests, and we're going to try and get through them as quick as possible because we need to wrap up by 12ish.
Yeah. Let's go, Ricky.
Let's go, Ricky.
Fly through it, my friend. What's on your mind? What's going on?
Are you all right, Ricky? How are you feeling, mate? What's going on?
That was horrible to watch. I was sitting next to a United fan the entire time as he was just laughing in my face. So that was also awful to sit through. But man, where to start with this game? I felt like for the past few games now, the players have just not been able to possess the ball very well. We can't connect passes, and I chalk that up to a formation issue. I think we just get caught time and time again in the corners of the game, and we just can't break the ball out. And it's so hard to watch. And it seems like our midfield players, they just go non-existent. We just can't find them as the game goes on, and it's really hard to watch. Yeah.
Over time, Ricky, because Bentancur, there's some talented players that we got, and Højbjerg does play well. I think they actually play well when we play well, as a team. But when we're not playing well, we get massively exposed. And still, just before you obviously mentioned about the technicalities of, the technical players of some of the players that United had. Are you surprised, even though, we talk about this formation and everything, are you surprised, even with our 5 midfielders, that we were so overrun today in that game? Because I couldn't believe it, really. I know we could have better players, but I was so surprised that we had 5 in midfield plus the 3 defenders, and United was still all over us. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm shocked, especially because I personally don't rate Bruno Fernandes. And I thought Basuma for sure was going to have him in his pocket tonight. And to see him and Casemiro kind of doing whatever they want to us on the pitch, I thought that was shocking. I thought we would have been way more strong in the midfield. And I rate this formation. I thought this formation was what's going to get us the dub tonight. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I saw Bruno Fernandes just breaking away through our back line, as if nothing, it wasn't even there. And just Ben Davies completely caught out in the second half there. I just can't believe that we would let that happen. And especially with Rashford not even performing well tonight. Ronaldo wasn't even in the game, who won it for them last time. I thought we were going to have a leg up. I thought we were going to go in confident into this game, knowing that Ronaldo wasn't going to be playing. We were playing in the formation that we wanted to see. And I think having Kulu and Richarlison out just made it so we didn't have anybody on the bench to help us out after we went down. And after we went a goal down, you could just tell Conte just didn't know what to do. It seems like unless we go a goal up, there's really not much we're going to do to get back into the game. And by the 80th minute, when the second goal had gone in, it seemed like we had just closed up shop and Conte was ready to go home. Kane looked knackered out there. It seems like Kane needs a rest, but we just can't give him one because we just don't have anybody to fill his position. Perisic seems slow onto the ball. He couldn't pick out the right pass. And I find it so hard to watch when we just can't string together 3-4 passes and just break out on a team, because it seems like we have those opportunities, and it seems like we're really good at just picking the ball, like Romero coming up into the midfield, picking the ball out, and it seems like we can get something going, and then out of nowhere, it's just a ball 3-4 yards behind us, and there's not much we can do, and they get the ball back.
It's a top point, Ricky, and the formation supposedly on paper is set up today for us to play with wingers, and I guess that was the original mentality for Conte, to say, right, we've got all these protected players, now let's utilise the wings. But I can't really remember passes out to our wingers or even the opportunity to do so, because we were so busy trying to chase our tails. Of all these United players just literally swimming through. Even Rashford, no disrespect to Rashford, he's a top man, but he's not the greatest of strikers, but he was flying through everyone. I couldn't believe it, and it really showed the average side of our defenders today. That's the pinnacle of it. It's wow, you're letting that happen. You should just be totally embarrassed. But your point exactly there, Ricky, about this mentality of using the wingers. This was what the formation was about today, and we just didn't see any of it at all. It's absolutely, I can't believe it. I'm still baffled. I can't get it at all in my head.
Yeah, it seems like we just don't really trust our wingbacks, to be honest. And it seems like the players really want to pass out to them very much. And when they do have the ball, it's a lot of going back. It seems that we work the ball into their half. Yeah, exactly. We work the ball into their half. It takes us 3 minutes to get the ball up, and then we spend another 2 minutes getting the ball back. And it's just are we ever going to get something going? Just put a ball in the box and see what Harry Kane and Son can do to it. They are our star players, and it seems that we can't even get the ball up to them. And the only time it happens is when Kane drops back, and then of course they know when Kane drops back, of course he's going to try to play Son up, and that's just like it's almost textbooks for a lot of the teams that we come up against now. They've like figured this out, and Conte just doesn't really seem like he has a lot to work with right now, to be honest. And I think the window is going to be huge for us. I think we are going to go out there. I think Conte is going to be disappointed with the first half of the season. I know we still have a lot of time before January comes around, but we've dropped points in Champions League. I know we're at the top of the table, but if we came up against a harder group, we probably would have been second or third by now. And we have a huge opportunity, to be in like rivaling Arsenal first place, and for us to be dropping points in these kind of games, it just shows that we're not ready. We're not ready for this big of a challenge.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ricky. And actually, if you take that Chelsea game, we got a point there. We probably should have lost that substantially. The Arsenal game was terrible. United's game was terrible.
West
so actually,
Ham as well,
when we're looking at actually these points now, and we perceive the top 6 teams, we probably only have a point, right?
Yeah.
And that's not good enough. That's not as good as it was last season. Sure, we're picking up results that we didn't get last season against weaker teams, and I would expect that anyway. But even then, we're scraping through those games. Certainly the home games I go to, I don't come out of that stadium feeling refreshed or anything at all. I feel like we've just scraped more results here, and how long can this go on for? And we're getting caught out, Danny. We're getting caught out significantly today as well. It's just not good enough. And I don't hate it, actually. I've always been a believer of like Levy and all that aren't doing enough. And it's very easy to fall into that trap, especially when you lose. It's an easy go-to conversation. I try to avoid it. But actually, in this instance, particularly these bigger teams like we've seen today, it is so evident. And especially some of these players that have been there for years and years now are really showing their average side to things now, whereas other teams are now developing. Ten Hag and all that were laughed at the beginning of the season, and now they're playing all this football. Yeah, arguably we made them look very, very good today, not taking anything away from United being, with their performance, but we very much gave it to them. What do you think about the players at the moment, Ricky? Like, I think they are really showing a lot of averageness to them, and I think some of the top players that we had are getting dragged into that now as well.
Yeah, personally, I think we have had a lot of average players at the team for a very long time, and I think there's just a loyalty that the club has to these players. They're not willing to let them go. I also think that Levy isn't going to get as much money as he poured into them, and if that's not going to be the case, he doesn't want to let them go for less than he got them for, which I don't think that's how you should be doing business. If you got to take a loss to improve the team, I think that's what you got to do. But I think a lot of the scorelines have been flattering to us, and I think that a lot of we make teams look better, and that is a problem. And I think it's something that needs to be sorted out. We need to be going up against these bottom half teams, and we should be destroying them with the caliber of players that we have.
I agree.
And then we scrape a lucky 1-0 result, and we say like, oh well, like they're a tough team, like that's a good result for us. But in actuality, I think a lot of the fans know that this isn't good football to watch, and there needs to be something that needs to get changed up about it. And I personally think that there are players that we do have on the bench that need to be given a better shot. I think Jet Spence, of course, even though Conte doesn't rate him. And I personally think Oliver Skip could have made an influence a lot sooner on in this game. I thought Zuma's first touch was pretty woeful tonight, and just letting Fred and Bruno Fernandes kind of waltz all over us in the midfield was absolutely poor. But I chalk it up to Conte not really giving these players enough time against these lower half teams to really assert their dominance and like get the chance to get their beaks wet and see what they can really do against these better teams. You let Basuma play one game, and then all of a sudden you throw him in against Man United, and you know he's going to do just as well as he did last week. But that's it's tough to compare Man United to who we just played last week. So I personally think that when we are going up against these lower half teams, we need to be getting players like Gil on earlier. We need to be getting players that actually want to put their necks out on the field and do something big for us, because I think a lot of these players are waiting for that opportunity, and Conte is just not really giving it to them. But yeah, I think a lot of the average players, I think Emerson has to be one of the most dreadful players I've had the privilege of watching. I mean, he is horrendous, and the fact that it took a red card for us to get him onto the pitch, I think, to get Doherty onto the pitch, I think that's just bad. That's just bad managing, honestly, in my opinion. And I love Antonio Conte. I think he is the right man for the job. But I personally think that the way that we're handling things right now is wrong, and we need to reevaluate ourselves for the upcoming game.
Yeah. Ricky, last one for you then, actually, on that point of the next game. What's your thoughts about the Newcastle game in general? Do you think we're going to get a result? Do you think it's going to be tricky? Honestly, Ricky, I'm anticipating exactly the same thing I've seen all season. And I say it to my dad every time after every game. I say we may as well just turn up at half-time, because the first half is always tripe. And then the second half, obviously, Conte says something at the second half, and then they turn up into a different team. What do you think about the Newcastle game this weekend?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because after it went into the dressing room at halftime, I thought for sure Conte was going to ring into the players and we were going to come out.
I was thinking that.
See, do you know what, Ricky? Before you answer, I said to Sai, I said, we're going to get the same thing we've just witnessed in the second half. Tottenham are going to play the same. Man United are going to play the same. And if anything, they were going to take the chances. And look what happened.
Yeah.
But, yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, you're all good. Yeah, they were peppering us from outside the box pretty much all first half. Yeah. And I thought, eventually something or another is going to happen. They're going to get a lucky little flick and it's going to go in. Of course, Lloris was having a stellar day. Honestly, round of applause to him, because he's been receiving some criticism, it seems like. But going into this next game, I think it's going to be cagey. I think we're going to get the win. I think it's going to be a 1-0 result. I think that is going to light a fire under our asses, and I think that whenever we lose a game, it seems like Conte, I don't even know, must be threatening their families or something. Because the next game we do end up coming out and playing a little bit better. So I expect a win for the boys. I expect it to be a low scoring game, but I expect a 1-0 result, and I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I think this is going to be a good way to prove ourselves and step in the top 4.
I love that positivity, Ricky. Awesome.
Great call. Yeah, really good call, Ricky. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Ricky.
it. Thank you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Make sure you come on as well. Keep coming on, Ricky, right? Take care, man.
Thank you.
Take it easy,
nice
bro.
One, Rick.
Just before we get the next one on, Alice Gold was saying some of the Conte's quotes in this game. Apparently, he said, in this type of game, you need to arrive and not make big mistakes. You need to arrive with the war inside you, ready to fight a war. And you need to know at the end of the game, you die or your opponent died.
Mate, do you know what? I've heard this from managers so many times to Spurs players. How many times do you have to be told this? And back to that point, I know the average players, and they've been there a long time. Some of these players have been playing for a long time at Spurs and professional football, if you want to call it that. How on earth is it that 7-8 years into your career, you still have to be told by any manager of how to turn up to a football match, Danny?
I agree. I completely agree.
Guys, strap yourselves in.
Yeah. It's time. This is going to be fireworks, guys. Who do you think this is?
It's what we've all been waiting for.
Let's get him on.
Do you know what? I saw you in the back, Brian, and you literally unzipped your hoodie in this mad manner. I'm excited for this. I want to hear words of wisdom.
First of all, apologies it's taken so long. I was going to do it at the Scotland Yard, and when I do it in the library, some people decided to sit down and have dinner there. I mean, how disrespectful is that?
Yeah, so how dare they read books in silence? Yes,
I had to trek it all the way goddamn home and get it. I had a nightmare of Uber. But all I want to say to start off with is, after years and years of trying, my time machine finally works. We're back with Alex Ferguson when he says it's only Tottenham. This is what happens all the goddamn time. How many times do I say on this channel or other channels, we go to these places and we play the occasion, not the game?
Yeah.
And once again, we have turned up Specsavers. Specsavers put out a fucking tweet. Do you know, against Manchester United, the Filth and Chelsea, they have had 66 shots against us. 66. That's 3 games. There is a fundamental mentality issue at this football club.
Yep.
We go to the big boys and it's like, oh, don't hurt me, don't take my lunch money.
Yep.
And for all the people that come on here and then comment on YouTube, I'm negative, I don't know what I'm talking about, let me just have a bit of fun with them. That was fantastic football. Breathtaking. Beautiful. Beautiful football we played. Enthralling. Passionate. If we showed as much passion, determination, aggression, fight, character as the 12th man and that amazing away support do every single time, we have a shot.
Yeah.
They turn up every single game, no matter what, no matter if it's Leicester away, if it's Brentford away, if it's Chelmsford in the Cup, if it's at Old Trafford, and we sit here and this performance was laughable, was absolutely laughable. And Hugo Lloris, everyone going, oh, he had a great game and some great saves. He was half the problem with his fucking short passing, which gives me heart attacks.
No, every time.
His distribution, don't get me wrong, he made, when it's Jekyll and Hyde, his shot stopping, and his reflexes, best in the world, one of the best in the world, easily still.
Yeah.
His distribution is laughable. And I'm sorry, I know Stel came on and said this has got nothing to do with Conte, and to an extent he's right, but listen, this guy wins shit wherever he goes. If he can't light a fire up their arse, and then once again say, we have to go into war, and when you go into war, it's just like saying when the players come out at the end and go, do you know what? We have to learn from this.
But Brian,
we have to learn. We're thick. We don't learn.
Yeah, Brian, why is it we don't learn? Is it because Conte's saying these things? If you're talking to players who have got winning mentality, right? Players who are mentally strong and are technically gifted and are good players, right? Would they not need it as much as, say, other players would? Because the way that Conte's talking, to me, it seems like he's really trying everything he can to motivate these average players, bar a few of them in the team, right? To try and give us something that maybe we shouldn't keep trying to expect from these average players.
So when you look at this, let's have a look at this squad. Hugo Lloris, World Cup winner, knows how to get the job done. Romero, Copa America winner, knows how to get the job done. Perisic, Champions League, Leagues, World Cup final, knows how to get the job done. Tell me another player in that squad, Longley with France. Tell me another player in that squad that has the mentality of turning up at the big games when it matters. Forget Harry Kane and his goals. I'm not talking, he scores goals. Today he was anonymous. But where are the players we go on about? Son and Kane, wonderful, wonderful players. Incredible, world-class, elite. Have they got it done in the big games?
So then does that make them elite then?
Mate, this is what we've got to question ourselves. And the thing is, like Stel said as well, and like we've all said, what happens when you spend money, you need to bring in quality. And not just quality on the pitch, people with the fucking nous up there to say, right, this is how we see the game through. I've been here, done that, follow my lead. I'm going to grab this game by the scruff of the fucking neck and drag you guys through it.
Yeah.
It's 3-4-3. We look clueless without Kulusevski. Today, everyone was calling out for 3-5-2, and I was one of the biggest. And we did it against Everton at home. We did it at Leicester at home. I wanted the three to cut off Man U's creativity.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw was playing like Paolo fucking Maldini. He can't even get in the squad.
Yeah.
But here you go, Tottenham. Let's all roll over. But it doesn't matter because we've got Conte and we play great, and we got a great stadium with 2 pitches. And this is all good. It's all bullshit. Every single time. You know what we've got to stop doing as fans as well? And I'm a huge culprit of this. A huge culprit. So I held myself accountable for this. We play Arsenal. We play Chelsea. We play United. Do you know what? We're stronger now. We're better. This is the time. This is the time. Every single time we stand there and say, yeah, we're going to do it. This is the best time. Every time we put our faith and belief and trust in these guys. And what happens?
Yeah.
What happens? Because we sit here as a fan base and allow it.
Do you then think then, Brian, then this mentality, where is it stemming from? Because it seems like you bring him.
Oh, don't ask him that question. We know what's coming there.
Mate, now listen.
It's like any player we bring in, right? It's like they seem to whether they've got this top mentality from before, they seem to kind of get embedded into this Tottenham mentality, and it's like the Tottenham mentality takes over their mentality.
They get dragged in,
and they get dragged in. Like Si was saying about Romero today.
Kulu and Bentancur came in, right, and they transformed us in January, right? The rest of the team was still average. We changed things in the summer. But I still feel like I don't know if Conte has a list and they just don't listen to him or whatever. Because there was names, Brian, wasn't there? Like Bastoni and all these players, right? But as usual, we don't get them, or we get a cheaper option, or we wait till January or the next summer so we can get them half price, whatever it might be. And we continue to struggle with average players that have been 5, 6, 7 years there that should know what they're doing, but they seem to not still know what they're doing. So it's almost like this exact point is actually a circumference, if you like, of what I was saying earlier about Romero, is that he's now being dragged into average like quality because of people around him and the mentality, right? And I feel that's happening with Bentancur now. Obviously, Kulu's missing because of injury and stuff, but I feel like if Conte had a list of 11 players, I would say like 3 or 4 of them would be who are in the team right now, but the rest of them would be nowhere near it. And he's got no choice, and he's got no bench to go to. So there is a problem up there, or recruit. I have no doubt in my mind, mate, that Paratici has his list as well. And I guarantee it's not being listened to, or it's being, what's the better, cheaper option here? Let's just get that one in instead. And it's apparent in these big games this season. Today was unacceptable, and I've seen the players that lifted us last year were like, this guy, we need players on this level, are now being dragged down to here, and they've now got a mentality already that, actually, we're not going to turn up to this one today. Sorry.
Yeah, well, mate, listen, people have called it, and I've said it for a while, and there's people that won't say a bad word about players because God knows why. Romero has been fucking shocking as a defender. And listen, a lot of it is because he's been forced back from injury too quickly.
Yeah, of course.
Then goes to Argentina on international duty. Yeah. Then flies back late for the North London derby. What do you expect him to do? And why does he need to play there? Because he's our best defender. And why does he need to play every time he's fit? Because there's no suitable backup to replace him. This has been a fundamental. You got to remember, under this board, as long as we get top 4, that's the aim. Anything above is a bonus.
Yeah.
That's not the mental. Forget the cup. Yes, Danny,
I want to ask you. Do you think that it's also because what I've seen this season in the competitions we've played in so far, it's pretty much been the same 11, really, give or take maybe 1 or 2, 3, if that players. It's consistently the same players. So there's no rotation really at the moment. We haven't really had the rotation that Conte said that he was going to do after the last international break. Do you not think that maybe it's also because he can't rotate the players because number one, we don't have the players to rotate, or number 2, the ones that he is playing is the only ones he really trusts to try and get something out of the game, even if they're not playing well?
Danny, for me, it's not even that. You look at, I know this is a different Man U to what got battered at Brentford, but Brentford said, go attack them, go for it, go for the jump. And there's teams we should be doing that against, and we just don't. The players are out there that could do it. Look how we looked in that 3-5-2 against Everton. When I'm not saying we should have been, Everton aren't as good as United are, clearly, but we cut off their oxygen. They didn't have an attempt on goal or a sniff, and we peppered their goal. Yeah. Why aren't we doing that against big teams? We give them too much respect and say, let's just sit back and try and get them on the counter-attack. We need to go for the... People know we're coming into town. It's like, right, they're just going to sit back. Yeah. They're going to try and get us on the counter-attack. So let's combat that. And that's what they do. Whereas if we'd come out on the front foot, they'd be like, oh, shit, we didn't prepare for this. We don't know what we're doing. And Danny, do you know what? Fair play. I've been wanting to say this. Whilst I've been on shows, but I'm even happier now that you're on show, or wanted to say when you're on show. When United signed Martinez and Anthony, you were on Twitter regularly saying these players are great players or good players, and they are going to be very, very, very good players, they will do well in a Man U team. And you came in for a lot of grief. And a lot of it going,
Brian,
you don't know what you're
I had Spurs fans, everyone attacking me. Everyone.
That's what I'm saying. You have people...
Threats,
you
all
have
sorts
people
of shit.
coming at you saying you don't know what you're talking about. What Dutch football do you watch? Not knowing that your wonderful partner, Mrs. Mrs. Kiriakou, is fucking in Amsterdam and watches Ajax religiously. They've come to the Premier League, especially Anthony, and done exactly what you said.
He looked lively.
So fair play to you for coming out and sticking by it. These players have come in and had an immediate impact.
Yeah, Martinez had Kane in his back pocket all night, and Anthony was ripping apart Perisic all game.
And everyone said Anthony, Martinez is too small to play in the Premier League. Okay, go up against Harry Kane.
Well,
and look, and you know,
I was going to say
the other thing is,
go on, Brian.
Go on, Danny, you finish. All right, what was I going to say?
One of you.
You go.
One of
you go. You go, brother.
No, I was saying, Stel was saying it's clear and evident today that the players like Martinez, Anthony, Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, Casemiro are just technically better players and better quality than what we had out on display tonight. And it proved it because they absolutely destroyed us. Should have been more. We were lucky it was 2-0 tonight.
Well, Bruno Fernandes should have been in the Spurs shirt. We know what happened there. Levy out.
Yeah.
Mate, listen, it's happened, and once again, I don't know how we're going to stop this. But when we play, and I said beforehand, I was more worried about Newcastle than this game, and I still am. Obviously, that game's gone. I mean, Newcastle are nightmares for us. They really, really are. Apart from last season, where this 3-4-3 was going on. But like I think Hassan said, if Emerson Royale starts that game against Newcastle ahead of either Doherty or Spence, then we know there is a fundamental problem at this club. A fundamental problem within this club, because this actual position is just ironic that this position has been a problem since Kyle Walker left, and literally will carry on being so. We'll carry on being so till we splash the money or give Jed Spence a chance. But yeah, it's just same shit, different day.
Yeah.
Got some from Yuri, actually. He said, we have to face the logical fact that we still have Spursiness and there is only 4 players left, Lloris, Dyer, Son and Kane. I assume that's relating to the players we've still got from the old guard, as it were. Assuming that. But yeah, I think there's just like a philosophy that's just indented in Tottenham, Brian. Like, it's just been on for years. We point the fingers at the hierarchy and stuff. Still, things don't change, but we always get that like paving over the cracks for a bit of time, and then we forget for a bit. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like halfway through a season, things like this happen. As I said earlier, like I don't want to jump into it too much because it's very easy to do after a loss. Like after the wins, to my defense, and Danny said similar, and I'm sure you guys out there have said the same as well. Every time I come out of a Spurs game at home with my dad, and we always saying like we scraped through that, I don't feel like comfortable that we like annihilated the team or felt comfortable with it, and it's been like that all season. But then we also said, including people on the radio and even the Spurs player and manager themselves, said at some point we're going to get unstuck here, and found out. And hey presto, the Arsenal game came out and we did exactly that, and we've done exactly the same tonight. So what the hell is going on at Tottenham still? Like, because for me, it's still paving over these cracks and we're being found out. And as we said earlier, with the points now that we've accumulated against what we would argue the top 6 teams, I don't know if we played all the top 6 teams yet, but we've only got 1 point out of that. And even that was ridiculously lucky in some ways. Are we progressing? Is Conte still the right manager here or not? Or is it... I generally see a path here, Brian, and I think you and I had this conversation a few months back, even in the summer, or even last year. Conte was the best signing we could have had as a manager because it will show everything for what it's worth at Tottenham. In a management perspective, the hierarchy and everything, because we know that Conte will not get backed. He will not get the players of his calibre required to go and challenge for something. He's doing the best he can with the players he's got, as have the 2-3 previous managers that we've had at Tottenham, right? When the hell does this change? And I do, as I mentioned, find it easy to pinpoint this after a loss. It's always the go-to thing. But actually, it's very factual right now, especially today, to see the average side of majority of those players out there. And it's a distinct answer as to how poor the recruitment is and how emotional perhaps we are as fans or as a club in general to hold on to some of these players and not replace them with players that we really need. We still don't have a playmaker, Brian. Like, for God's sakes, United just went, we just got smashed by Brentford. Let's just go and spend about 100 million on 2 or 3 decent players. It's fixed them. pretty much. They're not perfect
Yep.
yet, but it's fixed them. And we're sort of still trundling along, and we will still get found out. I guarantee it. More
We're
and more.
still trying to replace Kyle Walker.
We're trying to replace all our players, Brian. What's going on?
Mate, listen, like I said, you look at this, and people know how alleviated I am. So this is when Alex Ferguson said it's only Tottenham, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed there. Personnel have changed. Listen, 14 managers have come and gone. Plethora of players have come and gone. Some superstars, some not. Some absolutely diabolical, some not. The players have to take a lot of responsibility as well. Don't get me. Listen, as much as I want to blame everything on that parasite, and I do blame a hell of a lot of it, at some point, these players who are professional at what they do have to take some accountability for their actions over the years, even in this current squad. I am sick and tired of hearing, oh, yeah, well, we tried, we let the fans down, we move on from here, we promised to come back. But that only washes so many times. It only washes so many times. And what we've got to do now is we have got to try and ascertain what players are here and are going to fight for this badge and going to fight alongside Conte. You've got to remember, Conte, wherever he goes, listen to him equals trophies. It's facts. It's not me making shit up. Give him what he wants or the tools that he needs around him. Not saying get every single one of his targets, because as a club, we just physically and will not do that. But get a majority. So if we're going to sign 4 players in January, make sure 3 of them are what Conte wants. And Conte says this player specifically, not a carbon copy, not a one for the future, not a rising to go get that player, because it's speculate to accumulate time, and you bring in the better players. Conte gets the football and style he wants, the players he can trust. We go higher, we make more money as a club. Levy's happy. The chairman and the board have a huge chunk of responsibility, but it's time now where the players of this we could all go on this football club. There's 670 odd watching right now. Every single one of them right now could go on that pitch and put more pride, passion, and a better performance for free. For free, we would do it.
I agree.
Than that team. And the players have now got to start taking accountability just as much as that bald-headed parasite.
Brian, you're an absolute pleasure.
Always a pleasure, guys. Always a pleasure.
Always. I love you very much. And
just feeling straight back at your side, brother. I'll be seeing you soon.
Absolutely, my friend. Take care. And it's been
Will do, Danny, brother. We'll speak soon.
We'll speak soon.
Everyone in the chat, have a great evening. And as always, Levy out.
I love it.
Brian.
Brilliant.
Okay, we're going to smash through the next few.
Yeah, we've got a few left, so we'll get through them. And let's bring on Mr. LA Ian. Let's get him on.
Let's go, Ian. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on, Ian?
What's the feeling over there?
Come on, you must have loved that performance, man. You must have absolutely lapped that up.
There are very few words that can accurately describe how bad that performance was. It kind of just hit me today that, you know, I've rated Højbjerg and Bentancur for a long time. And now it might have hit me today. It could be a complete overreaction that besides Son and Kane and Kulusevski at some parts, that the entire team, including Hugo Lloris, my add, is average. The entire team. Romero, I don't know what happened to him. For some reason I heard someone say rush back from injury. That could be the case. I'm sure if we stick with him, he'll turn out to be world class. But he's playing terribly right now. But everyone, that's a performance that really makes you wonder for the future of the club. I mean, seriously, it was that bad.
Do you think it's actually the players' quality, or do you think it's the mentality, or is it both? Because they come hand in hand usually. So, what do you think it is?
I would have totally 100%, if you asked me that question, I don't know, 3 months ago, I would have said it's almost 100% mentality. I'm seriously beginning to think that Even Basuma. What have we done to Basuma?
Yeah.
The technicality of our players is bad. I think the last interview I did, I was talking all about how good Højbjerg was, and he played well in that Frankfurt game, and I'm like, he's pretty technically gifted. I don't know now. Like that was a flashbang of how bad that was.
Yeah.
And it is mentality. I do think there's a little bit of kind of how Brian said, oh no, the big guys are here, don't hurt us. For some reason, that seems very true. We should have taken 6 points against Liverpool last year. Honestly,
I agree.
home and away, we were
Completely
better
agree.
than them. City away, we were great, and we did what we did to Man City. But Chelsea, Arsenal, even sometimes like big six like West Ham and clubs like this, we struggle. Like, I think let's about put percent 60-40. It is 60% mentality, 40% technicality. I think everyone's screaming 3-5-2, 3-5-2, 3-5-2. It's going to fix everything. We did 3-5-2 today, and we got ran over in the midfield so easily. Like not even like putting in tackles here, and we're scruffing it out. And we're just getting a little unlucky with the second balls. No. We got outclassed by Fred.
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah.
I can't believe how it just hit me today. Like the squad is average at best, honestly.
100%. I agree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
I think you're talking sense as well with the formations. Like we were saying earlier throughout the watch along, it doesn't matter what formation you play. If you haven't got players that can't pass balls around properly or take a game by the scruff of the neck, then you're not. It doesn't matter what formation you play. Like you could change around all you want. It's not going to affect anything.
And here's the funny thing: we're going to play Newcastle, and we will batter them. Watch. That's going to be the funny thing. We'll play Newcastle.
There needs to be a reaction, significant reaction.
Okay, great. How many reactions have we had? We had a bad performance in the big states. Let's react on the weekend.
Yeah.
And usually we do.
And why is there no consistency to keep that reaction going on and on? It's almost like, well, we lost that one, we won this one, brilliant performance, and then we just go back.
Do you know
to
what
normal.
I think it is, Si? I think we don't have a target of what we want. Like I was saying to you before, last season, top 4 was the target. It became the target, right? Because it was reachable. And they were fighting to try and get that. And they were playing out. Some of those players were playing out of their skin. Son was incredible. He was phenomenal last season. And this season, what I've seen so far, it's like they decide to turn up maybe one game, but they don't turn up with full. Like you said, it's like we've been in second gear all season.
It feels like it.
Yeah, it does. I see the same thing, and it's like they're not fighting for anything. It's like okay, let's just see what happens, and if we get top 4, great. If we don't, we're not going to compete for the title, so we might as well just see how it goes through the season. We'll try. We'll do what we can, and then we'll see what happens. But it's not like the club have gone out and said like we need to set a target of finishing second place, and let's try do that. Because then if they've got a target, then at least they might actually have the belief and effort levels to try and reach that target. But it just seems that there's nothing to reach for. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I agree. Ian, I think we've seen it a lot as well. I don't know what you think about this, but I'm getting tired of partial progression in the pitch, and then we stop, and then we pass it backwards. What's going on, Ian?
Yeah.
Why do we keep doing this?
See
what the
right
hell?
there. That's technicality. We do have keep your head up. Well, someone let's say Bentancur will get the ball just a little bit past the halfway line, but his head's not up or looking behind to see what lanes are open. And then again, half the time it isn't his fault because there are no lanes open. The players that don't have the ball need to get open. You need to make it easy for your teammate to get to pass it to him. But half the time, even if they did do that, they wouldn't look. They wouldn't look to see if it's there. It's immediately back to Dyer. And then obviously Dyer's always facing forward, right? Yeah. He's facing forward because he's not gonna be facing backwards. And then he'll go to Perisic. Perisic back to Dyer. Dyer to Basuma. Basuma to Dyer. Dyer to. It's like
a team of Harry Winks.
Oh yeah. Harry Winks would have done a spin move though. He would have done 720 spins.
Majestic side passing and backward passing.
We need some sort of upgrade there. and then when we get towards the box, I was telling this, was watching the bar that I went to watch. I swear to God, our chances in most of these big games are just us in the box trying to find a way to shoot.
Yeah.
We're just trying to find a way to shoot, and we never actually get the shot off.
No.
That's the funny thing. It's literally that simple. We don't shoot the ball as much as we did. Like I during the Poch days and Kane was flying, and we're at the White Hart Lane before we left. I swear we would just somehow find a way, get the ball to Kane in the box, and he would turn and shoot, and 60% of the time it would go in. Honestly, we don't shoot the ball. That is really
we were talking about earlier.
simple
we were saying that earlier. We just don't
just
shoot
see what
now.
they're doing. Like just ping it from like 30 yards and see what happens and hope for a mistake or something. Get them a bit rattled, but it was almost like, no, we're just try and pass this through, and it's not passing through. Let's go backwards.
Like for
No
us
one
to
takes
score,
any long shots.
It has to be the perfect goal for us to score. Like a bang, 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 through ball, and then to someone's in the center of the box and we score. No, by the way, Højbjerg can actually shoot from outside the box. He's shown us that he can shoot. Fucking Dyer can do it.
Just someone
seriously, we have players who can, and then they stumble it, and then we get and then Kane gets the ball, and then penalty, like Pickford did. Like some cause chaos, and we just don't. It just has to be this beautiful, perfect goal. We can shoot the ball many more times than we actually do, and that is extremely frustrating to me.
Yeah.
I want to end this here. I know Dan's waiting back there. I want to get him on. I don't want to take up too much time, but just to close my closing thoughts, we seriously need work in January. I mean, really, we need at least one center back, one right back, a creative midfield, two center back, one right back, a creative midfielder. And then if Kulu and Richarlison stay healthy, that is good options for attack. But
we are lacking still, even in attack, because we've got the person who we bought as a backup striker has basically played as a backup winger all season. Yeah. And Richarlison, he's now injured. Could be and we've got Kulusevski, who's also injured, and then we've got Lucas Moura, who's just come back from a really long layoff, who's not fully fit yet. And then we've got Brian Hill, who they tried to loan out, and they didn't loan out because they couldn't get anyone else in, but then they don't give him a chance. Yeah.
So what happens when you don't prepare?
Yeah, exactly that.
You don't prepare. I said in my last interview, Richarlison is, when he gets healthy, he is way better as a backup striker.
Yes.
If we're using Kane so much this season. Okay, let's say we turn around. We actually start playing good in the first half. Let's say we're up 2-0 before halftime. Bring off Kane in the 65th and bring on Richarlison. Yeah. I guarantee he'll score, gain some confidence, and then we can talk about.
I agree.
Got Ian, just really quickly before you go. I hope the Spurs players go and have a look at their reviewed stats on. I don't usually like the BBC, but I've just got this up on here. But obviously, Lloris got a relatively higher score because of his performance today.
Amazing shot stopper.
Outside of Lloris, not one player got higher than a rating of 5. Majority of them are actually lower 4s and higher 3s. A massive indication in there. What do you say to these players for this Newcastle game?
Try and make your fans happy. Simple.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
I know that's. You're probably saying to yourself, "Oh, they should think that every single game," but they don't. I actually honestly don't think they go out there and think we're going to make our fans happy today. We haven't had a defeat where I'm like, you know what? We gave it our all. Yeah. We gave it our all. Yeah. I'll take it. Nothing. I saw the heart. I saw the tears and blood. We haven't seen a defeat like that. I can't remember.
Not this season. So not this season.
I'm trying to remember even last season. I'm trying to maybe the Anfield game where we tied.
Yeah.
The first
Man
one. I was
City,
like,
Man City away.
We went. Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, just try and make us happy. And the thing is, they will. It's weird. Watch. We'll win 4-1, 4-0. So honestly, and then the next big game, we'll put out a stinker, and then we'll just keep chugging along as we do. And then okay, we got 4th. Let's have a parade. We got 4th, and no trophies and nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
Ian,
sad.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you guys.
hopefully the Spurs players make us happy on Sunday.
All right, guys. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for the.
Take care,
Take
bro.
care, Ian. Take
Bye-bye.
it easy, man. There's 2 super chats as well, just before we get onto the next
shoot.
caller. Both from Dietrich's Kane. He said, Danny is my skila. He's basically saying, bitch. So, Dietrich's, you're my bitch. Dietrich's Kane again said, fun fact, Spurs have conceded 173 shots this season.
Shocking.
Right? City conceded 237 shots the whole of last season, right? And Spurs have conceded 66 shots in 3 games against the top 6 this season alone.
Yeah.
That is disgraceful. If you say that Spurs have conceded 173 shots alone already this season, compared to City, who've conceded 237 all of last season, that's just insane, isn't it?
It's not good enough.
It shows the level where we really are.
And Dan's going to tell us more about the level that Tottenham are at right now.
Yeah, fantastic level. Come on, Dan. Tell us wise words.
Dan, really quickly, on that point that Danny just made, United had 28 shots against us, which is crazy. I know they're at home, but that's ridiculous, right?
Fucking shots. Are you being serious, man?
28 shots they had.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to need 28 shots to get through this game, man. Honestly.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Crazy, Dan. Tell us what you're thinking about this game today, because this was shambolic. This was embarrassing, and I'm majorly disappointed. And I don't know. I don't even know if these players care anymore. I think some of them have been around in circles like this for so many years. What are we going to get out of this, Dan? It's just ridiculous today.
Man, honestly, like the mentality, the fact that we go 1-0 down and then Man United continue to pressure us, that's disgraceful. Like, honestly, when they scored the first goal, 5 minutes after, it looked like they were chasing a goal.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't show any desire. The mentality was just so poor. But I just want to sit here and tell you, if you're saying Conte out, because there's generally people saying Conte out. I saw that. I can't believe it, man. How can you not notice? It's been like 15 managers, and you still don't notice that it's not the managers.
Yeah.
It's the players. I understand. I do think Conte made one mistake. I'm not going to say Conte out, but I'm going to say that Conte did make one mistake, and that was playing an old man being Perisic against Anthony. Anthony turned him inside out.
Yeah,
Anthony turned him inside out, and his defensive ability is terrible. I would have gone with Sessegnon over Perisic. But other than that, I mean, what do you want him to do? Play with 3 up top? My God, we have no right winger. What do you want us to do? What, you want to play a centre back up right wing? Come on, man. Like, come on, use your brain. What else was Conte gonna do? He's doing all he can with the players that he has.
Yep.
You could take a horse to the water. You can't make him drinking.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point. I mean,
completely
actually,
agree.
Danny mentioned at the very beginning of the game that there's a couple of players surrounding Perisic, and then he was struggling with that. I'm not saying Sessegnon was the answer, but in general, it's just showing the lack of depth. We can talk about Richarlison and Kulu. They are attacking players in their specific positions, but the rest of the team is where we really needed the help in the summer, and we haven't, in my opinion, at all helped in any way the positions that we needed. We still don't have a playmaker. I think that's really evident in these games, particularly like the ones today, where we need a different answer or some kind of, as Stel said earlier in one of the call-ins about the technicians. We don't have these, and it was very apparent today, wasn't it, Dan? I think how do we respond to this? Like, I'm expecting us to have a very different game against Newcastle, but I'm also expecting us not to continue that for the games forward, because I don't believe, as I said to Danny many times today, I don't think we're getting out of second gear, and it's going to hit us in the head very soon, and it has done in the last few weeks, with the exception of the Champions League game the other day. What are you thinking, Dan, right now about this team, their mentality in particular? What do you think about that?
Man, honestly, the thing is that, like, the mentality was so poor, man. I was so shocked. Like, I'm going to repeat it again. I don't think people are understanding this. We went 1-0 to Man United, and it looked like Man United were the team that were 1-0 down. How does that happen? The mentality was so poor from so many players. I'm Slate Lloris a lot, But today, if it weren't for Maurice, it would have been 6-0. I'm sorry. Like, what? The mentality is just so poor. Some games, like, I get real mad when we lose at the end of the game. But then, like, a few hours pass by, I come do the post-match fan show. I'm a little bit more calmed down. But today, I have not calmed down one bit. I'm so pissed off with every single one of those players except for Hugo Lloris. Honestly, the mentality disgraceful from every single player. Not one player gets away from it except for Hugo Lloris. But like, poor in every single aspect of the pitch.
I don't like to lose games, Dan. I'm sure many people don't. But if you're going to lose a game, but you played like your heart out and you played well, there's a bit of it's just a game of football, and the other team were a bit better. But this was embarrassing. This was like don't know. I would say like we didn't show up at all, did we? It was just. I'm so infuriated, like the fact that whatever formation we play, but we've gone out with a formation today that was on paper, everyone was excited because we thought it was going to be something that helped us be able to push forward and use the wing backs, and nothing happened. Nothing. Zero, zilch. So
nothing. Yeah.
It scraps. It's disappointing because I think like that formation can work in certain games and certain moments, but now it's putting a dampener on that side of things, and it's actually even more apparent, more so than ever before, that we don't have good enough wing backs, and it's a big problem, and it's creating an issue now where we don't have answers to some of the games like we have today. There was no switch up. There was no I wanted to see changes because I wasn't happy with what I was seeing in front of me. So I think, well, it might or might not work, but at least you're doing or trying something. But it's even more apparent now that we just got a lack of something, or everything across the table, really. It was, other than Lloris, there is no one you could pick out at all that played well at all today. No one.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course,
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Your camera's
I don't know
gone
what's
off.
going on with my camera, but yeah.
What are you thinking about Newcastle game, Dan? What do you think we're going to see here?
I think we will bounce back because Conte, like when we lose games, there is a factor that we do bounce back and we do perform in the game afterwards. But honestly, I'm just so depressed at the moment. Watching Emerson Royale play football again is going to be hard to watch, hard to take. Yeah, man, honestly, disappointing. But I think that we're gonna play well against Newcastle. It's gonna paper over the cracks. Spurs fans are gonna forget about this performance, and it's just gonna be the ongoing pattern of the Spurs supporting Spurs.
So, what do you think, Dan? It is a mentality problem that we have against these big
100%.
teams, because this season we've done very poorly.
Yeah.
I think worse than last season against the big teams.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's a mentality issue. I mean, you look at the teams, Man United and Spurs. We're on quality. We're a better team. There's no excuse.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. I'll be honest with you, Dan. I wouldn't say so. Not what I saw tonight. If you look on paper, what they've got, right? Look who we had on our bench today, and look who they had. They had Casemiro, who's a £75 million world-class midfielder, right? I would say most of our players are better than Fred, but he had a decent game today, right? You have Martinez, who's a much better player than Ben Davies, far better. People who slated me for saying Martinez was going to flop at Man United. I watched Martinez, and he was Ajax's best player last season, Champions League and in the Eredivisie. He is a top player. He's like a Romero, right? Smaller, but he's very technically gifted. He's one of the most technically gifted left centre backs I've seen in a long time. And people just wouldn't admit it, to be honest with you. And then you've got Anthony, who's one of the top young talents on the planet. And today you saw how good he was. He absolutely tore Perisic apart. Right? It was a joke.
And he was mocked by a man that should be in a retirement home.
I mean, Sancho didn't really have a good game, but Rashford came a little bit alive today, and I think what Sai said, it wasn't maybe in terms of the attacking players like Son and Kane are better than what they've got, but they showed a lot more fight and desire today. And what I saw was, from what Sai said as well, is that we made them look better. And when you got Rashford going up against like Eric Dyer and Ben Davies, and
It showed them for what they are.
yeah, it showed them for what
today.
they are. But they were terrible. They were. I mean, how many times did you see Lloris screaming at them, saying like, "Come on, cover your. What are you doing?"
It's
sort
embarrassing.
of thing. Yeah, and there was so many times that Rashford got into the box where that, if it wasn't for, like I said, if it wasn't for Lloris, we would have been 6 goals down today.
But Danny, I don't know if I agree with you on that. I thought Lloris was a little bit like he should be more vocal as the captain of the team with a performance like that. I saw moments where the camera panned to him and he was just staring at Eric Dyer. Like,
He's
what is
never
this
been
guy
vocal,
doing?
Dan.
Yeah.
He's never been. He'll
Yeah, but
shout every
I
now and then
understand
at players. He's not a leader.
No.
He's not.
I
He's
understand that.
he's
That's-
a leader with experience
A
and
leader by example.
Yeah,
A leader by example. But like, as a captain, surely you're looking at that and hey, wake the hell up, man! What are you doing out there? If he's not that type of person, I understand he's a brilliant goalkeeper. Then take the captain's arm off him.
Many people have
That's the
said
only
that
thing-
for years. Yeah,
That's the only thing I could slay him on. That's the only thing I could slay him on.
Do you know what I hated? One of the moments, and I said it to Sai earlier. One of the moments I hated is when Eric Dyer caused that second goal when he lost the ball, right? So when the ball came to him, he tried to chest it down, right? And you saw in the screenshot, right, and in the replay, Højbjerg was already pointing where he wanted the ball, right? He was he pointed, and Eric Dyer made the mistake. Obviously, they intercepted the ball, obviously, and then it led to the goal, right? Yeah. And when you see the replay, you see Eric Dyer doing this to Højbjerg, like he's blaming Højbjerg for that mistake. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. This is the shit that we have to deal with, right? This is the mentality of player that we have to deal with. He made the mistake, and yet he's trying to say it was someone else's fault. That is ridiculous.
But Danny, he can speak 15 languages and he can lead the back line. Are you taking the piss? The guy can't even lead a conga line, bro. What are you talking about, man? Oh my God, I can't with these people, bro. Eric Dyer is a bang average centre back who has been made 100%. Look good.
100%. And people keep going on that he's like our savior at the moment, right? The only reason Eric Dyer is playing there is because we haven't spent the money to go and get a replacement for Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld.
Exactly that.
That's it.
We've let it slip significantly since that era. You know, that team that we should have won something with ridiculously, and it's just slipped in because it's profit, isn't it? And it's about balancing and not doing too many risky things. You're not going to win a title with City around, so maybe that's why they don't, add that extra money in to try to fight it. But who knows, Dan? Dan, last question for you, because I think we've got one more after you.
I think that's it. Dan's the last one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in that case, one of my last questions to you. What do you think about the scoreline on Sunday then? What are we going to get a reaction, first of all, in a positive way? And secondly, what do you think that scoreline is going to look like? And are we going to see the same formation as we did tonight?
Hello, Dan. You still there, mate? Oh,
okay, well, let's answer the question to each other then. Just quickly, Yuri says this club demands weakness and it's enforced by the staff and the veteran players and the Spursy Conte out fans. I think I get the element of what you're saying there, Yuri. It is definitely a hereditary in Tottenham. Yeah. And that's not a joke. I know a lot of other fans externally from Spurs like talk about Spursy and this, that, and the other. But actually, there is a fundamental hereditary problem at Tottenham. Yeah. It's been there for a long time. And as I said, I don't like to delve into it after losses too much because it's very easy to go down that rabbit hole. But there's always been that issue for a long, long time, even when Pochettino was around. Yeah. He even complained in live conferences about like not backing this, or you've got the old washing machine saying that he said like you need to replace it and get a better one to have your clothes, washed better and all that sort of stuff that he went on about in Argentinian, whatever it was at the time. And that hasn't really changed. No. And you could blame the stadium, the pandemic, whatever you want to do, but other teams seem to be able to get by. And we've got massive revenues, massive profits every year. And we don't retaliate with that. No. We don't act as that big club supposedly that we are with the big stadium. And as I said, it's easy after a loss to do that. But after all the wins this year, and hand on heart, I've said personally that we have not played well enough and we will eventually get caught out. We got caught out against the bigger teams, albeit against Chelsea we scraped it. It's not good enough. And it has got to a point now where once we get a few injuries, we're going to be stuck. We're going to be exactly the same position as we were pre-Conte, where the players just no depth, nothing. There was someone who put a comment about we played better under Conte last year with an inferior team, and we're playing worse with a better team now. Well, there's an argument to say whether this is a better team or not. Yes, we have got some extra good players in. There's no doubt about that. But you can't just do half a job, Bob, as I say. Like, you have to have the whole thing done, right? Because otherwise it's going to have cracks. And hence that metaphor of paving over the cracks, because the cracks will be shown. And that is evident in games like today and most of this season. We have played worse opposition and scraped through. You have to be honest with that. All this season so far, 10 games in, we're sitting third, which is brilliant, but we have scraped through that.
Yeah, we have.
But there will come a point where that's not enough. It's not enough. And we're seeing that today. And hopefully the Newcastle game will be very different. It's going to be difficult because Newcastle are a tough team. They're growing every week. They're getting stronger. We have to show a better mentality than we did today. I don't care what the formation is. Just please play football, Tottenham. Please stop making mistakes. Stop being average. Honestly, what more can I say, Danny?
It's like what Jory was saying. It's like he's basically, from what I understood from that, is that he was saying that it stems from above. The mentality, it seeps through. Whoever owns the club, whoever makes the decisions, it's their club at the end of the day, right? So whatever they decide what they want, right, that's what seeps down into the staff, into the players, into the whole environment of the club. And if there is no ambition from their top level, right, and the ambition is being driven by the manager, manager, we all know what Conte, what he wants. We all know what he wants. He's not going to sit around for this, right? No. He wants to challenge for titles, wants to win trophies, right? And if that does, if it's going to come to a point, which we all know it's going to do, what it's going to get to, where Daniel Levy and the board are either going to have to give Conte what he wants, or he will walk out. And if he walks out, I'm done. For me,
he's a madman if he signs a contract right now.
For me, I think we are done as a club, right? I'll be honest with you. While that ownership is still there, I think if Conte walks out, right, if every fan cannot see that this is the board decision, right, to let Conte go because they're not giving him what he needs, then that should be a clear indication that where their ambitions lie and where they want to take this club, right? Which is not much, in my opinion. And I think that's as much as I think I want to say. I mean, and Bob just put a super chat in as well. So big up Bob Spur. He said, I showed more passion while I was in a coma. Big up. Love it, Bob. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely spot on with all this because, I can't see him signing a contract. If he's clever, like I think he is, he's going to wait till after January, at least.
Of course,
to be like,
of course.
These promises you've supposedly been making, is it going to happen? Because I can't continue with this tripe that I have to train every day and every week.
Yeah, Conte's not stupid. I honestly think that there's a chance at this rate that we're going. It depends on what they do, what they're going to offer him. And if he's smart enough, he has to have something in writing or something because this is a typical Daniel Levy kind of thing where he'll say, well, don't worry, we're going to get you this, we're going to give you this. And then what happens is they get to the window, like kind of what's happened this summer, where it's like, it's still not enough. It's like they give you some of what you want, the bare minimum. It's like the bare minimum,
you're absolutely right?
It's like, okay, we'll give you this, and this, and then we can't do a deal for this player, and we can't do a deal for that player, or that player doesn't want to come.
Exactly that.
And then by the end of the window, Conte's like, well, you still didn't get what I needed.
And they do it to the fans as well, Danny.
Of course they do.
The only reason Conte was really here is because everyone was singing Levy out in that Manchester United game. I was there. It was horrific. It's the worst atmosphere I've probably heard in my Spurs time. And it was like, we better do something here before we lose all the season ticket holders and people stop coming. So they bring Conte in. They don't really change the philosophy of recruitment or anything. Paratici. I generally believe Conte and Paratici have lists and they're not listening to them half the time. 100%. And that's why he has to scrape the barrel to bring in players he already knew from Juventus. Great to get Richarlison. I think he's going to be a top player. But that's not enough. You have to then go, that's the level now. We need to start building up. And we haven't done that yet. But
time will tell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a crisis yet. Like, we're still third. We've got to be positive about that. But at the end of the day, today was unacceptable and it is showing some cracks there. We have to stamp that out. We have to be consistent. And these guys need to realise, like, these are supposedly professional footballers and get their act together. We can't accept that against Newcastle.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Danny, it's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Apart from the result.
Apart from the shit game,
guys, thank you out there for all the chats, for all the communication with us, the call-ins. As always, guys, despite the result, we're all here together following this nonsense. Thank you for watching.
And make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you
Spurs.